Well, a very good morning. Thanks for clicking on to today's Vogan's European Outlook. It is the April Outlook today, and as well as that, I'm including the Spring 2016 Outlook as well. And over the course of the winter season, we of course seen a very warm, wet start to the winter, and that is likely down to the strengthening and peaking of the El Nino. We also seen in conjunction with that peaking of the El Nino, we also seen the polar vortex at its strongest. I believe it was said to be on record, so it was the strongest on record, coinciding with that strong El Nino, and that essentially meant that all the cold air within the northern hemisphere was bottled up over the Arctic region, which allowed subtropical air to then lift in the mid-latitude region, creating the warmest December on record. We've seen astonishing warmth over the eastern United States and a good chunk of the United States, and also over much of Europe as well. As we progressed through the January-February period, we started to see that polar vortex come off its peak and start to weaken, and therefore start to warm up. And as we entered the month of March, we actually essentially seen the weakest on record. So what a flip around. And what that will do is that will cast a shadow over the spring. I think overall, I think we're going to have a colder than normal April, and I think we will may get the first taste of summer during the month of May. But I think with April, the problem is that we are going to start to see, and this is off the I believe this is off the Canadian, yes it is, it's off the Canadian model, and this is for the month of April. And what's essentially going on here, folks, is that we've got the stratospheric warming still taking place. So we've got a warm stratosphere. What does that mean? It means that it's forcing energy transfer, colder, rather than being bottled up in the stratosphere around the top of the Arctic region. It's been forced into the troposphere and then therefore shoved south into the mid latitudes. Now, yes, we have got a very active jet stream circling the world at this moment in time in the mid latitude region. What that means is we're seeing an unsettled, active, stormy pattern. The problem is with that cold air in the mid latitudes, cold air is essentially cycling around these areas of low pressure that is hitting the United States, that's hitting Western Europe. We of course seen the longest dry spell since last September. That is coming to a crashing end towards tomorrow onwards, and we are going to have colder in our mid and upper atmosphere, which will essentially, at this time of the year with the strengthening sun angle, will increase instability, essentially increases the lapse rate, which means the difference in temperature between surface and up at the upper atmosphere. You increase that temperature gradient, you force stronger upward motion, more instability, heavier downpours, hail, sleet, snow, cold. When you've got sunshine, no wind, it feels quite pleasant. When you've got clear skies and light winds at this time of the year, folks, it will still get cold. So April overall, you can see here off the Canadian model, is indicating that we've got a positive, a stronger than normal height field over Canada, over the Arctic, over Greenland. And that leads to a trough locked in place over Western Europe, over the UK, and also over the eastern half of the United States. So expect April showers, expect cooler than normal conditions this year during the month of April here. As we progress into the month of May, the Canadian is still holding on to a trough. You can see that there. But if we look at the CFSV2 monthly for the same month, it has actually taken the trough to the west into the North Atlantic. So there's contradiction here. There is differences between these two models. It's indicating a ridge over the North American continent. It's indicating a ridge over Western Europe as well. What I think is going to do is I think we're going to see an unsettled May. I think we're going to see the first taste of summer, so we might get the first 20s, believe it or not, even into the north of Scotland. And I think we are going to see the first burst of summer heat extending from West Africa up into Iberia. So Spain, Portugal, France could see the first surge of real summer warmth here. But I think there's going to be a back and forth, a fight taking place here as we go forward, because there is going to be a lag with that warming of the stratosphere, with the release and cold air trapped within the middle latitude region of the world, I think as we start to see a pullback taking place, we're going to then see that fight within the atmosphere once again. So I do think we've got essentially a cool. Precipitation wise, it's a difficult call because it could go either way with the month of April, given the weakening of the El Nino and the likely onset of a La Nina into next year. But that's into next year, so we'll hold on for that for now. But it's going to be a very interesting period coming up, that is for sure here. So this is May off the model here, and a very quick peek just into the month of June. You notice here that we've got the trough here starting to push more and more towards the North Atlantic and Greenland here. What would that indicate? It would mean that the subtropical ridge may have an open door into the UK. Hint, hint. We'll wait and see. There's a long way to go yet, but it's quite interesting what some of the modelling is picking up on as we go into the early part of summer here. But these models are very difficult to go by at the best of times here, and we will have to sit and wait. April is essentially a key month during this time of the year in terms of what we may expect later down the road here into the summer season here. But April off the Canadian looks like this here. Trough over the UK and Ireland here. Ridging, so warmer than normal conditions, possibly over the Mediterranean basin, but most certainly central and eastern Mediterranean, north up into western Russia here, the Baltic nations. We're going to see more ridging, we're going to see warmer than normal conditions here, while the trough sits, keeping things unsettled, cooler than normal over the UK and over Ireland here. For the month of May, the Canadian does have more troughiness, but the CFSV2, like we've seen in the hemispheric view, is suggesting quite the opposite here, showing more ridging here. So contradiction in the model. I do believe we are going to see a cooler April. So watch this space. Do check out the written April and spring 2016 forecast. And if you're not a subscriber already to marvelandweather.com, I've got daily videos, written posts looking into the in-depth of what the pattern has for the now, as well as 10-15 days down the road here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching if you're on YouTube. Have a great day. Bye for now.